Hello students, in the earlier lecture we have discussed about the voltage and reactive power control. Okay, so mainly we have discussed about why the voltage and reactive power control is important. We have also discussed about what are the causes of variation in the voltage, and further we have also discussed about what is the effect if the voltage is not controlled. Here controlling the voltage means we want to maintain the voltage throughout the electrical power system to the rated value. Mainly the electrical power system consists of three important parts. Those are nothing but generating stations, transmission lines and the loads. So throughout the power system we need to maintain the voltage to the rated values. It may be generator side, it may be transmission line side or the load side. Okay, so all the devices which are connected on these three parts of the power system are designed to operate at a specific value of voltage. That voltage we refer as a rated voltage. And if in the power system this rated voltage is not maintained, okay, so it will lead to the maloperation of various devices and instability of the system. So in order to maintain our power system in stable condition and to ensure the proper operation of power system, we need to maintain the value of this voltage as per the rated value, and this voltage can be controlled by controlling the reactive power flow in the power system. Okay, so this was what we discussed in our previous class. Today our main focus will be upon which are the elements of power system those are responsible for production and absorption of this reactive power. Okay, so let us see which are the elements those are contributing into production and absorption of reactive power in our power system. So as we were discussing, our power system mainly consisting of three parts, that is nothing but generating stations, transmission lines and the load center. Okay, so we will go in this order only. First let us see on the generating station side which are the elements which will be contributing in production and absorption of reactive power. So the first important component here is the synchronous generator. Okay, or we can call it as a three-phase generator connected in the generating station. Okay, so this generator, okay, it will be connected to the bus bar, and from there by stepping up the voltage we will be sending the voltage on the transmission lines for further supplying it to the load centers. Okay, so now how this synchronous generator contributes into production and absorption of reactive power, that let us see. So here we can see this figure. Okay, and in this figure this E, it represents the EMF induced in the generator. This X reactance represents the synchronous reactance of the generator, and V is nothing but the voltage at the terminal of bus bar where this generator is connected, and this is nothing but the load connected. Now when this synchronous generator, or how this synchronous generator contributes into production and absorption of reactive power, that we can see. Synchronous generator mainly can operate into two modes. First one is the overexcited mode. Okay, so whenever the synchronous generator acts in a overexcited mode, it will be acting like a capacitor, and we have seen that the capacitor mainly responsible for generation of the reactive power. Okay, so whenever the capacitive circuit we find, okay, we will be finding the over voltage there, or we will find that the reactive power Q is getting injected into the circuit due to this capacitive effect. Okay, so same thing happens here also. Whenever the synchronous generator is overexcited, means whenever E's magnitude is greater than V. Okay, V is the terminal voltage and E is nothing but the voltage generated by the synchronous generator. So whenever the synchronous generator's voltage is greater in magnitude than the terminal voltage at a bus bar, we can say that the synchronous generator is operating in overexcited mode. And whenever the synchronous generator is overexcited, it acts like a capacitor. Okay, and due to this capacitive effect, the overexcited generator always generates the reactive power. So from this end you can see that, okay, so from here we are injecting the reactive power into the power system. So if we are injecting the reactive power into power system, okay, reactive power and the voltage on the bus bar or voltage on the line, they are proportional to each other. Okay, so Q is directly proportional to V square. In our earlier discussion already we have seen this. Okay, so if the reactive power injected increases, obviously the voltage magnitude also increases. Okay, and this is how, okay, the voltage gets raised in the power system. Okay, so whenever the synchronous generator is overexcited, it acts like it is a producer of a reactive power. Okay, or it produces or injects the reactive power in the power system. Now the synchronous generator can also be made to operate in a underexcited mode. Okay, so in underexcited mode, okay, comparing with the magnitudes of terminal voltages and the voltage generated by generator, if we want to talk about underexcitation, then we can say that if the magnitude of V, the terminal voltage at the bus bar, if it is greater than the magnitude of EMF induced by generator, then we call that synchronous generator is operating in underexcited mode. Okay, so whenever it is operating in underexcited mode, when the voltage at this bus is greater than the voltage at this bus, okay, so this bus or this particular source of voltage, it becomes, okay, the absorber of the reactive power. Okay, it will be start acting like the inductor and it will start absorbing the reactive power. Okay, so this is all about the synchronous generator. So synchronous generator is one of the main component in the power system which contributes in production as well as absorption of reactive power. Now let us move on to the next element of the power system. The next element in the power system is on the transmission line, which is the second important part of our power system. So let us consider the overhead transmission lines and let us see what is the contribution of overhead transmission line into production and absorption of reactive power. So overhead transmission lines will also act as either producer or absorber of the reactive power. Okay, so depending upon the loading condition, okay, the overhead transmission line will act as either it either produces or absorbs the reactive power. So if the overhead transmission line is overloaded, okay, if the load on the transmission line is more than the surge impedance, then in this overload condition it absorbs the reactive power. It acts like a inductor and it absorbs the reactive power. Now how we are giving the overloading here is, it is given in terms of the surge impedance. Okay, so if the surge impedance or if the line, or in other words we can say that the line draws the reactive power if loading is higher than the surge impedance loading, and it generates the reactive power otherwise. So this is about the overhead transmission line. Next let us see about the underground cables. Okay, so underground cable, whether it will produce or absorb the reactive power also depends upon its surge impedance loading only. Now here in this slide we can see that there are the equations mentioned for the characteristic impedance ZC, and the one more thing here we have mentioned is this surge impedance. Characteristic impedance ZC we have written as under root L by C, where L is nothing but inductance of the line and C is nothing but the shunt capacitance. Now this surge impedance loading is also a type of power and it is measured in terms of watts. And how we are going to calculate this surge impedance loading, that we can see in this equation, where the surge impedance loading SIL is a power and it is given as VO square divided by VCO or VC naught we can say. So where this V naught, this numerator V naught is nothing but the rated voltage of the line. Okay, so rated voltage of the line, its square divided by the characteristic impedance. Okay, so whatever value we get, it is in terms of watts. Okay, so this surge impedance load for a underground cable or for the overhead transmission line we will be calculating. Okay, and this value will be in terms of watts. Now whatever loading will be there on the transmission line, that we are comparing with this surge impedance. If the load whose characteristic is also mentioned in terms of watts only, watts and VAR, okay, amount of real and reactive power it consumes, okay, those are the characteristics of the load. Okay, so whatever real power consumed by the load, that we will compare with this real power, okay, which is called as a surge impedance loading of the transmission line or the underground cable. Now if the load applied on the transmission line is greater than this surge impedance value, okay, in that case we call that the overhead transmission line or underground cable is overloaded, and whenever they are overloaded they will be absorbing the reactive power. And in case this underground cable or the overhead transmission lines, they are underloaded means if the magnitude of power drawn by the load connected to this transmission line, if it is less than this surge impedance load P, then we call that it is underloaded. Then whenever it is underloaded, it will be producing the reactive power. Okay, so therefore for the transmission line, overhead transmission line as well as the underground cable, okay, we can say that whenever these two, the overhead transmission line or underground cable, whenever they are loaded much below their surge impedance loading, this leads to the significant generation of the reactive power. Okay, and whenever the loading is more, whenever it is above the surge impedance level, in that case they will be absorbing the reactive power. Now the next important component of the power system is the transformer. Okay, so what is the contribution of this transformer in production and absorption of the reactive power, that we have to see. So already and in the previous courses we have studied the equivalent circuit diagram of transformer, and we know that transformer circuit is inductive in nature. Okay, and from that we can see that whenever there is a transformer in a power system, it will always absorb the reactive power because the transformer is inductive in nature. So transformer, it may be overloaded or underloaded, irrespective of its loading condition, transformer always absorbs the reactive power in the power system. Then the next important component is the load. Now the load, okay, so for the load, whether to say that whether it produces or absorbs the reactive power, we must be knowing its power factor. Okay, and depending upon power factor, we can say that the load is capacitive in nature or load is inductive in nature. If the power factor is leading, then we say that the load is capacitive in nature, and if the power factor is lagging, we say that the loads are inductive in nature. So sorry for the interruption. So depending upon power factor of the load, we can say that either it is capacitive or inductive. So if the load is capacitive, it always produces the reactive power, and if the load is lagging, it is having lagging power factor, it is inductive in nature, and always it will be consuming the reactive power in that. So this is about the various elements connected in our power system which are contributing significantly in the reactive power. So all the elements, depending upon their nature of operation, okay, sometimes they will be producing the reactive power and sometimes they will be absorbing the reactive power, and due to this there will be effect on the rated values of voltages in the power system. And as this absorption and the production of reactive power takes place in the power system, whenever these elements are dynamic in nature, so due to this there will be variation in the magnitude of voltage, and if this variation in the magnitude of voltage is entertained in the power system, it will lead to the maloperation, or it is one of the undesirable condition in the power system. Therefore, okay, as a power engineer, we must always see that the voltages at various levels are maintained intact. Then how can we maintain the voltages intact? Okay, so by using some of the techniques, we need to control the magnitude of this reactive power, and with the magnitude of controlling the magnitude of reactive power, we can also have the control over magnitude of voltage. Now, for that purpose, we must see that what are the different methods which are helpful for controlling this voltage. Okay, so that will be our further discussion.